Services Marketing, MKT 625, Lecture number 18.
Assalamu alaikum, Khawateen Hazrat. Wasim Hassan welcomes you to lecture number 18 of Services Marketing MKT 625 at the Virtual University of Pakistan. We are in the process of learning different studies of marketing research in order to find facts which help us make better decisions for our services. And in that regard, I already have talked about 4 of those, meaning complaint solicitation, critical incident studies, requirement research, and service quality, which is known as ServQual. This means I still have to talk about 8 more, but before I start talking about the remaining 8, let me brush up your understanding of the last one which I talked toward the end of the last lecture, meaning ServQual, which stands for service quality, by way of giving you a brief recap. ServQual is all about 21 statements, which are statements of attributes, and what you do is you test those attributes by way of asking those 21 questions to your respondents, and respondents are supposed to self-complete those questions by giving answers. The trick here is, or the important feature here is that you get 2 different ratings from your respondents. The one rating is about what they think of competition, and the question is about their expectation from one of the excellent companies in the marketplace, thereby capturing their expectations against the perceptions which you test with the help of this tool. The second rating, as is obvious, is about perceptions, and customers are required to self-complete those questions which give you the rating of their perceptions of the service that they have bought from you. So just to summarize, 2 different ratings, the one about competition and a company which happens to be one of the excellent companies, and the other rating about their experience of your service. The beauty of this tool is that you can draw comparisons with one of the excellent companies, and the fact is, if you happen to be one of the excellent companies, then it gives you all the more important and interesting information about where you stand in comparison with another company which happens to be as good as you are. Whatever the case is, the tool gives us a comparison of the 2 companies' standings. The other thing which this tool shows us is the relationship that you can draw between different demographic profiles. If you add those questions into the questionnaire, it is optional. So you can develop the relationship between demographic profiles of different customers and their rating of different dimensions of quality. So you can really look into what are your strengths, meaning which dimensions are your strong dimensions and which dimensions are your weak dimensions. If you happen to be strong, you can reinforce the strategies which you already have undertaken. If you are weak on certain dimensions, you can make corrections, and you make corrections by way of staging recovery. Recovery strategies we already have talked about, and we shall be talking about that in detail a little later also. The importance of this study stems from the fact that it really gives us leads into other studies. There are so many findings which dictate that we undertake other studies in order to find out things about service features and the performance of our frontline operators, and maybe a few things about tangibles as well. So this study is one of the more important ones, and having talked about that, let me now get on with the remaining studies, of which post-transaction service is number 5 and is going to be the number 1 in today's lecture. As the terminology suggests, this is kind of a study which we undertake at the end of every transaction. So from that point of view, this study is very rich in terms of accumulation of the wealth of information that we generate from encounter to encounter, because the basic benefit that we derive out of this study is capturing each and every encounter that takes place. And the related benefits are that we get immediate feedback, for the simple reason that the impressions and opinions of customers are very fresh in their minds after the encounter has taken place. And the fact is that the providers also are in a position to ask very relevant questions and in a state of enthusiasm, which is very, again, fresh because of the immediate culmination of the procedure and the encounter, which is the subject of that study. The other benefits that we derive out of this study is that we use this feedback in order to bring about a change in our strategies and they may also in our philosophy. The meaning this might also lead to bringing about certain changes in the very fundamental thinking of the company. We also can make certain corrections and improvements by way of staging certain recovery strategies. The beauty of this study is that we have such a huge pool of incidents that this study can also lead toward another study which you already know, and that is the critical incidents study, because we are in a position to identify satisfied customers from dissatisfied ones. Whatever the case may be, we really can run a trace on the reasons and causes of satisfaction or dissatisfaction, thereby having our customers tell us stories verbatim, the meaning word by word, about the incidents that either made them satisfied or dissatisfied. So a very interesting study, and another kind of a study which gives us leads into further studies. And critical incident studies which may stem out of this post-transaction survey is a study which will in turn give further leads into further research. The next one is what we call service expectation meetings and reviews. Well, as the name suggests, we undertake these studies because we are out to estimate and rather identify exact requirements of our customers. And after we have identified those requirements, we want to have a way to ourselves that really can put us on the review path. The meaning, whatever has happened as a result of the plans that we put together to satisfy needs and requirements of our customers, we have to have a way of reviewing those. So this is a kind of a study which basically dictates the concept of key account managers and key account teams. This study takes place in the area of relationship marketing because this study shows its utility and efficacy basically in B2B situations. So in other words, what I'm talking about is this is a very good study and a useful one when we are dealing with just a few customers. And that is why we have key account managers, and which essentially means that we have a manager who is assigned to one particular customer, or maybe more than one particular customer. Whatever the case may be, the number of customers is not large. And therefore, the key account manager and his team are concerned only about the customer or customers they have been assigned. So what happens is that key account manager, along with his team, get in touch with their customers and ask them about their requirements. Customers are requested to list down 8 to 10 requirements and also are requested to give their priorities in terms of their importance, meaning the importance of those requirements. And in the light of that, key account manager comes up with a relevant plan. After putting together pieces of that plan, it is put into action, as is very obvious. And the next feature of this study is that the key account manager, along with his team, get together with the customer after a specific period of time, which generally is about 1 year. The idea behind this lapse is that the plan which has been put into action relates that certain period, which is about 1 year. And after the culmination of that period, it is seen to what extent the requirements of the customers are met. So those aspects which stand met are the ones where customer feels satisfied, and those aspects which do not stand met are the ones where customer may not feel satisfied. However, the beauty of this study is that because of the key account manager and his team, they are in a very comfortable kind of a position to be able to work according to the requirements of the customer, because the requirements were identified in face-to-face meetings, and so many related strategies and associated issues that were discussed between the customer and the service providers, that the chances of the customer ending up as a dissatisfied customer are minimal, or rather should be minimal. The next one is what we call process checkpoint evaluation. Now, this again is a very interesting and a very peculiar kind of a study which takes place in situations where results of studies do not come up to the surface after a long period of time. And this happens generally in situations like big consultancies and research projects. I can give you examples of huge engineering and architectural projects. These two could be cases in point. What happens is that it takes quite a bit of time before the final results of the study are out, and therefore there has to be a way for the service providers to make sure that things are on track and there is no derailment of the strategies or the working behavior which the provider carved out for himself and his team. How do they do it? They do not leave it to chance. And I'm talking about those providers who are proactive and who are conscientious. So these providers build into the whole process of delivery some automatic feedback options. And these feedback options are not some technical tools. These are determination and establishment of certain phases and stages of the project, at the end of which they offer the partial results to the customer. And this happens in total consensus with the customer that after the end of this particular stage, this area of the study is going to be presented so that we can see where we stand in terms of the results of the study. So proactive and conscientious good service providers, by way of putting into the process these built-in options, can look into the results they have gotten after completing a certain phase of the study, and thereby maintaining and assuring themselves that the path which they have carved out and they are following is the right path. The interesting thing about checkpoint evaluation is that providers are dealing with services which are very rich on credence qualities. So I would like to draw your attention toward the richness of service in terms of credence. You will recall that these are the services which cannot be evaluated by the customers even after those have been rendered and fully delivered, because the results do not really come to the surface, and the only mechanism the customers could have at their disposal or the process which they go through in order to make sure that they are going to be dealing with the right providers is by way of assuring them through physical evidence and the ability of the providers to assure customers that they possess the right technical knowledge and the expertise to be able to handle the project. And these are the two key elements which customers generally consider before giving a certain assignment to their consultants. And therefore, proactive and conscientious providers or consultants have to see to it that whatever worked for the company, meaning the providers, during the pre-purchase phase of the purchase process, now has got to be substantiated by excellent delivery on part of the providers. So what I'm saying is, in simple words, the customer chose the one particular provider on the basis of certain indicators and signals. And those were the elements of physical evidence and the qualities of the providers of assuring the customers the assurance element. They talked very well, they presented the case very well, and on the basis of these two vital elements, the customer chose the provider. And after the provider is chosen, a good provider takes upon himself or herself to deliver the service in a manner that the customer is not disappointed, meaning the customer is not dissatisfied. And that is why they build into the process by themselves with certain options which really help them maintain the contact with the customer, thereby assuring that things are happening according to the plan, phase by phase, step by step, and there is no derailment. Let us now talk about the next study which marketing managers have at their disposal, and this is known as market-oriented ethnography. A very interesting terminology. I would like to explain what the whole thing is all about, especially ethnography. Well, this kind of a study really has an international angle to it because the multinational companies in particular deal with so many customers across continents and across countries and across cultures, so to say. There are certain cultures and certain setups where providers may not be able to generate the kind of market research they are usually used to because they cannot make use of the kind of standardized questionnaires which they have used elsewhere. And therefore, they've got to have a different way to themselves in order to generate similar kind of results or relevant results and credible results which will help them make the right decisions about the service which either they are planning to launch or they are planning to improve. Maybe certain features of the service they are planning to improve, or the certain features they are planning to add to the service, or something with the delivery mechanism they want to do, but they are constrained and limited to the point that they cannot do that with the help of questionnaires. So the question is, what is it that they do? Here comes the question of what ethnography is. Well, this basically is all about ethnicity. And ethnicity is a condition of people belonging to a certain ethnic group. An ethnic group can be defined as a set of people with a distinct culture within an overall socio-cultural setup. And I will give you examples later. Ethnicity, therefore, can be further defined as a differentiation of sets of people with variable religious, socio-cultural, ancestral, linguistic, and even physical characteristics. Now, this is something which really let us look into the differences which exist on the lines of ethnic divisions. There are people who speak a different language. There are people who have a different culture. They may have the same culture, which happens to be the overall culture of the country, but it certainly has some subtle differences. And those subtle differences are nuances, are the ones which researchers look into. And that process is known as the process of ethnography. So ethnography basically is a study of, a scientific study of human races. And in this particular context, it can be defined as a study which looks into all those factors that influence a particular culture. And what is the kind of influence that factors have on the culture, so that the marketing researchers can look at the whole society along ethnic lines, or they can look into the behavior of different ethnic groups in a very different kind of a perspective, which provides them the lenses through which they can see those divisions, and thereby come up with the right decision to carry out a research and have a design which is suitable to that particular ethnic group. As I said, there could be so many examples, but I think our own country and our own society is a beautiful mosaic of the different ethnic groups across different geographical areas. There are ethnic divisions within very similar and same geographic areas, only because some of those areas happen to be kind of are developed and some happen to be less developed. Some are urban, some are not urban, meaning rural. So the question is, what is it that the marketing researchers can do in this kind of a situation where people are either not capable of answering their questions in a very structured way, meaning they cannot self-complete all the statements or the questions providers have on the questionnaire, or there is no willingness on their part to answer those questions because of certain inhibitions. And those inhibitions could be cultural, those could be religious, and those could be any other in light of the characteristics or in light of the definitions that I gave you about ethnicity. So the option that the marketing researchers could have to themselves is by having informants. Informants are those people who preferably belong to the same ethnic group, but happen to be also kind of a little outgoing and outwardly, not withdrawn and inwardly, and they are the people who really can truly represent the whole ethnic group. So it goes without saying that the marketing researchers could have to be very careful and sensitive about the choice of those informants, because they are the people who will reveal vital information and facts about the whole group, and therefore the answers that they give have to be the ones that can be counted on and that really can become the basis of credible research for better decision making. The other option researchers could have to themselves is placement of observers at the point of consumption. This again stems from the same fact that researchers are limited to generate responses by way of having a structured questionnaire, and therefore they have to place observers who can observe on their behalf and then come back to the researchers with answers to the questions that they have. Again, this dictates the importance of appointment of such observers who have to be from within the same ethnic group, who really understand their behavior and can come back to the researchers with the right answers. Because in the absence of the right answers, the research findings will be misguided and will lead to lopsided kind of results. So in case of informants and observers, what we have learned is that their appointment is a very sensitive issue, and the market researchers could have to be very careful toward who really comes up to the criteria which they have in place toward the appointment of such people, informants as well as observers. Again, the question is, why these informants and observers? I think I already have given you the answer, which lies in inhibitions on part of the respondents to come straight on the questions which researchers want answered. And the reason they do not really want to come straight on those questions is cultural and maybe religious inhibitions. And this can be exemplified by a situation in which a huge company is wanting to either launch or improve their basic health services in rural areas of our country. What about the questions which they want to ask on maternity issues? I think it is very difficult for the marketing researchers to have a direct contact with the female population of the rural areas in particular and ask those kind of questions. So you have to have informants and observers who can provide that kind of information to them, meaning the answers which will become the basis of credible research. And I think it again goes without saying that informants and observers in this particular example should preferably be females who can handle this issue at hand and help the company that really wants to get into a noble service with the needed information that they want to have in order to be good service providers. There are other examples also which we shall be talking about from point to point and from issue to issue. But I think with the help of this example, the issue of ethnography or the reason why this study of ethnography takes place is very clear to all of us. And ethnography, I think, should be now a terminology which is which we should be kind of experts on in terms of our marketing understanding of the research process. The next study which we can have to ourselves is what they call mystery shopping. Now, this again is a very interesting kind of a study, and this is conducted in a very mysterious way, and that is why it is known as mystery shopping. What happens is that this study is focused on people, meaning the service providers, the frontline people. And the mysterious part of the study is that those people do not know who are the ones carrying out this particular study. There are companies that specialize in carrying out mystery shopping, and what companies do is hire the mystery shoppers and give them the assignment of assessing their own people. And these mystery shoppers could walk into your facilities, talk with you people who happen to be the frontline providers, and they pose themselves as customers. By asking you questions which generally are asked by the customers, they are expert enough to generate the right kind of answers. And after the extraction of those answers, they get back to your company and provide them with a complete marketing research report based on the interaction that took place between those people as customers and you people as the frontline providers. The beauty of this mystery is that frontline providers remain on their toes all the time because they know that something like mystery shopping can take place once in a while. And the fact is that this kind of a study is popular in the Western markets, and I will not be surprised if this also becomes part of the marketing research programs in our society as well. I'm talking about the popularity level. I'm not saying that it is not being done. The point here is that because of the knowledge of the providers, meaning the frontline contact people, about the existence of this kind of an occurrence, they remain on their toes. And by being on the toes, they perform better. And when they perform better, they render better service. The fact is that mystery shopping can also become the basis of evaluation of your people. And there are certain rewards which are offered to frontline people only because they proved very effective during those encounters, which in a way were fake encounters, or rather research-oriented encounters without you knowing that. The next one is what they call customer panels, and I think it really evokes what really is the essence of this kind of a study. What you as providers do is form certain panels of consumers who can represent the overall segments that are your target segments, meaning that is your target audience. You get in touch with those customers who could be kind of lead customers, and the trendsetters, the kind of people who are also in touch with the company in relation to different qualitative studies. Customer panels is a qualitative research method whereby you interact with these people who form the panels and talk about the service delivery and certain features of your service. These people give their opinions, and you define the different characteristics of the service features, or you define one particular problem. I can give you the example of an airline that can have a panel of customers talking about issues like the leg space between the two seats in front of each other relating to a certain class, or the existence of a certain class, whether that class should exist on one particular route or not, and the similar issues. After they have ascertained the issue at hand, the meaning they have defined what they were looking for, they can later get into quantitative research in order to have some quantitative findings about the same issue. They talk qualitatively. Airlines and entertainment are among the industries which really follow this customer panels kind of a study. The next one is what they call lost customer research. Again, the very terminology of the research study explains it all. What happens is you as providers like to look into the causes that led some customers to defect the company. The meaning you like to get into the causes of what really caused defections. Why is it that certain customers were dissatisfied, they left the company and they went to somebody else? Now, how is it possible that you find that out? I think it is quite very easy after having developed the understanding of different study methods or different kinds of studies. What happens is you are carrying out what you call post-transaction survey. And with the help of that survey, which was basically focused on the processes and the frontline people and customers, you identified certain causes of dissatisfaction. You ran a trace on those causes, and by way of carrying out a critical incident study, really established what is behind all that. So you can see the linkage between the post-transaction survey and the critical incident study. Now, after you have carried out that critical incident study, you know who dissatisfied customers are. And it is with the help of that study that you have revealed those causes. And now you are out to ascertain what really is it that caused that particular reason, and what really is it that you can do to correct yourself so that if you cannot bring those dissatisfied customers back to the fold of your customer base, at least you can prevent this kind of happening from taking place in future. So that basically is the essence of the lost customer research, because it really helps you identify those customers who are dissatisfied, ascertain the causes, and then you can make certain corrections for the future, because you have to see to it that whatever went wrong in the past is not repeated in future. So the post-transaction surveys and critical incident studies are the ones that really give lead to the lost customer research. And I think that we have seen the linkages among all these three, and we can develop similar kind of linkages between different kinds of studies. And that precisely is the reason that marketing experts say that marketing research in services marketing has got to be a composite program consisting of so many different studies, because those studies have linkages, and the one study, meaning the findings of one study, lead us toward carrying out another study and another and another, and that becomes an ongoing process. Let us now talk about the last study that we have at our disposal, and I'm not saying that this list is conclusive. As a matter of fact, I have talked so far about 11 different kinds of studies that we can initiate as providers, and the 12th one that I'm going to talk right now is what they call future expectations surveys. Future expectations surveys are not really easy to conduct, and not every company really gets into this kind of a study, but there is nothing stopping you if you really want to get into this kind of a study as a service provider, regardless of what kind of line of business you are in. There are three different features of this kind of a study. The one is the feature research. Now, feature research is all about the features of technology, which keep changing from time to time. And especially if you happen to be in services which are dependent upon IT, which most of the services are. The fact is that one of the factors that really has given boost to services marketing is the development on the side of information technology. So if you scan the environment, you will see different features which are coming up the surface of the technology, and you can, with the help of those developments, gauge as to what could be the future developments or future improvements which you should be carrying out. And you set yourself a certain time frame, like 6 months down the road, 12 months down the road, or 18 months down the road, the following features that should be incorporated into the service. And if you add certain features into your existing service, that also have to have an impact on the delivery mechanism. So therefore, you also start looking into the systems and procedures, thereby looking into the possibility of inducting new technology. and thereby looking into the strategies of financial management and so on and so forth. That kicks off a whole process of strategies, and that is the beauty of research. The next feature of future expectations research is what you call lead user research. With the help of research, you identify who are the lead users, meaning who are the trendsetters. And if trendsetters look upon a certain technology or certain features as friendly, in times to come, you try to incorporate those because the opinion of lead users is something that is to be reckoned with, and the companies do pay a lot of attention to the opinions and attitudes of lead users because the success of your product, meaning service product, with lead users almost leads toward an overall success. The third element of this research is what you call synectics approach. Now, what is synectics? It basically is a scientific study of processes that lead to inventions. So therefore, as the terminology suggests, this has to be related with features research and lead user research. You look into the features which you already have done, and you look into the lead user research, which again you already have done, and with the help of the findings of those two, you look into the synectics perspective and try to determine for yourself what could be the future developments that really will be attractive for your customers. And accordingly, you bring about the changes and improvements in to your services, meaning service features and delivery mechanism. Now, having talked about the last kind of study which marketing managers can carry out in order to find facts in a better way so that they are in a position to make better decisions, we are now done with the kinds of studies which are available to us. And like I pointed out earlier, this is not a conclusive list, and I'm not saying that there couldn't be any more studies which we may find suitable for ourselves. All I'm saying is that these are the kinds of studies which generally have popularity, I mean a decent level of popularity among marketing researchers, and therefore they should not be lost sight of, and we should be therefore very much cognizant of the existence of these studies. You might have noticed with the understanding that you have developed after knowing what marketing research is and what could be the different kinds of studies while we conduct marketing research, that the whole research basically focuses upon two major areas. And those two major areas are the areas of company performance and customers. What is it that really actuates us to try to reveal the company performance is certain measures. So basically, we conduct marketing research in order to arrive at certain measures. And we can say that these are the company measures. And the second area where marketing research focuses on is the customer's opinions and attitudes. So therefore, we can say that is customer measures. So performance measures in relation to firm, meaning your company, and customer measures in relation to customers' opinions and attitudes are the two areas about which the whole marketing research is all about. Meaning different kinds of studies, qualitative or quantitative, really focus on these two major areas. What really is of fundamental importance is the company measures, because unless company really can perform, it cannot satisfy its customers. And therefore, the performance measures of the frontline contact people, the middle management, and the top management are extremely important. The fact is that company measures are a reflection of the company, and therefore we cannot say that those are just a reflection of the contact people who get into interaction with customers during encounters. And therefore, the performance measures of the firm takes precedence over what is related with customers. These performance measures are based upon company's ability to maintain fundamental procedures and statistics, because with the help of those procedures and standardized systems, the company is in a position to carry out statistical analysis and variances, the variances with the budgetary figures, you are laying the ground for good marketing research. So in other words, what I'm saying is that in the absence of all that I've talked about, the meaning complete maintenance of records and statistics, you cannot move ahead with an effective marketing research program. And that is why I said that the importance of firms' measures is of very fundamental nature, because it all stems from your routines and procedures and all that you do day in and day out. The customer-focused research is the one which is generated through customers, and like I said, it is focused on customers. And we try, with the help of the marketing studies that we have educated ourselves about customers' opinions and attitudes, and find out where our strengths are and where our weaknesses are. The strengths are to be reinforced and weaknesses are to be corrected, and that is the beauty of the marketing research. So what I'm saying is that until the time the marketing research brings about a change and a certain level of improvement, the marketing research lacks purpose, and that really is the value of marketing research. So let us now look, how do we really create the value of marketing research? We know what marketing research is all about. We know the importance of research, and we also know different kinds of studies that we can initiate or institutionalize within our own given setups. But until the time the marketing research is carried out with a certain specific purpose, marketing research is not good. It is going to be misguided, and the results that we are going to have will not allow us to maintain the strategic track. Therefore, we have to get back into the area of classification of services and be very clear about our objectives in terms of the purpose of the organization and the destination that we really want to reach. If we are carrying out research which is not really in line with these two elements, which are, I would say, the two most important elements of the classification of services, we are not really on the right track. So all I'm saying is that the good marketing research should have a purpose, because there are very many important strategic decisions that the marketing managers make with the help of research. And until the time the research really is change-driven, meaning the results of the research are change-driven and bring about improvements, there is just no point in carrying out marketing research. Marketing research, from that point of view, has got to be very timely. If we do not conduct our research in a timely manner, meaning we are aware of the importance of research and we are late in conducting that, what happens is somebody else already has carried out that research, maybe in the form of future expectations research, by being a step ahead of you. And when that happens, you are left a step behind. And when you are behind, your research findings could not be termed as timely, because the action which you should have taken in a timely manner has been taken by somebody else. Also, the marketing research has got to be very precise, meaning there has to be no ambiguities in the research. With the precision, you get credible results. And credible results are the one which you really look for as managers, because it is a question of heavy investments. It is a question of top management or management of the company committing itself to so many different kinds of resources in order to achieve the company goals and objectives. There has to be an impressive level of clarity of objectives, without which you cannot have a very well-guided program, just like I said earlier. Another important factor that we have to consider in order to make research findings very highly valuable is the communication of the marketing research results. We've got to be very clear about which people or which segment of the company really needs the marketing research results, which we are to incorporate into our culture, into our setup, into our systems and procedures in order to bring about the change and improvement that are intended. So a clarity about the people who are going to use those results is extremely important on part of the top management and middle management in particular. There is generally a feeling of shyness on part of most of the people who are the intended users of the marketing research results, because they have an inclination to feel kind of intimidated and shy in dealing with the sophisticated research results and lengthy computer printouts and so on and so forth. So therefore, an effort has to be put together by top management and middle management to see to it that those results are communicated to the users of research in a very easy and effective manner. And this really brings us to the area of internal and interactive marketing. What generally should be done is the formation of different committees or different groups within the company, and groups comprising of the senior people from the middle management or the top management, who should very clearly interpret the results of marketing research and then present those results to their colleagues who are going to be the actual users. And until the time we are in a position to sell the ideas and the concepts that we are continuously improving with the help of research findings to our colleagues who are going to be the actual users of research, there is no point that those users of those findings are going to be effective sellers of the same to our end users. So, in other words, in order to effectively sell the new features or improved features of our services and implement our services with the kind of mechanism which is an improved mechanism, we've got to educate our people first. Until the time they are sold to those changes and improvements, there is no way that they're going to sell those to end users. And this is the essence of the internal and interactive marketing. That is why the importance really lies in the area of human resources. You've got to pick those people who are really rich in terms of their experience on the services side, meaning they have to be very services oriented. And with that orientation, when you train those people, what you're doing is you are brushing up their knowledge and you're brushing up their the real instincts which they need to have, or which they need to brush up in order to become even better, more efficient, and more effective service providers. And therefore, you have to, meaning the company has to look into three fundamental factors. And those fundamental factors are who, why, and how. In the first place, the company has got to identify who are the people needing these results. And the second factor is about why do they need those results? Because they are the ones who are going to be the frontline contact people, and they are the ones who are going to interact with end users during their encounters, and that is why they need this information. So that takes care of the why factor. The third factor is how. How are they going to deal with this information, and what are going to be the training strategies? So it is all about training strategies as part of internal and interactive marketing that need to be underscored or need to be underlined. And in order to have effective training strategies, we need to deal with these three fundamental factors of who, why, and how. With this understanding, I think that we should be clear about the value of research that we conduct from time to time as a composite program, so that we really can bring about a change and improvement. So I can say with the confidence that change, meaning a good change, and improvement are the two keywords which we have learned in a typical marketing research context. And the research has to be change-driven so that we can bring about improvements. And when we achieve these two objectives, we are on the right strategic track, and we are conducting marketing research which is highly valuable for the company. Now, when we train our people and educate them about all those fundamental factors that I talked about during the whole lecture, But we can do that in so many different ways, and especially when it comes to training strategies, because internal and interactive marketing are extremely significant to services marketing, and therefore we've got to see and look into the ways and means whereby we really can train our people to become better service providers. Well, one of the ways which really is a very exciting way of training your people and bringing your attention toward the core issues is with the help of graphical presentations. And there could be so many different kinds of graphical presentations that we can show our colleagues just in order to score the point of the marketing research that we really can make those as valuable tools of driving the point home about the change and improvement that we want to bring about. Now, this is going to be the topic of learning in the next lecture. Because of the shortage of time, I wouldn't really like to start with something which needs detailed attention, and therefore I would be talking about that in the next lecture. Just to give you a recap of what we have discussed in this lecture and the previous one, we really have learned what marketing research is all about, and there has to be a complete program of marketing research for your particular company and for every company. Marketing research should not take place as an episodic measure. The meaning it shouldn't be just one episode once in a while or once in a great while. It has to be a pre-programmed kind of an effort which is continual, and it goes on and on. We have learned so many different kinds of studies which we can employ in order to have better facts at hand to make better marketing decisions. And the other important lesson of today's lecture is that we've got to make the findings of the marketing research very highly valuable, and those can become valuable only if those are timely, those are precise, those are credible, and those are communicated properly to the people who are going to use those findings. That's all for today's lecture. Thanks for your patience, and I look forward to talking with you in the next lecture number 19. Allah Hafiz then. Until then.